Welcome. Today we are entering upon a new aspect of the Vedic Mathematics. Here we will be understanding what precisely is the domain of mathematics, or which domain is a mathematized domain, whether the mathematized domain is different than the existence domain. So the word Ganit and the Kshetra are the two words in terms of which we have to initiate, and Ganit is a word which takes us to Gan, and it also takes us to It. It means remove, and Gan means entities of the same format. The format is common, but the entities are distinct. And it would means remove, that means it is already there. So this thread, a sutra, means a thread, because of which these entities are accommodated along the same format. So it is like flowers, and we are having a stitching thread, and it is this stitching thread which is also having a suchi, a needle. So we have a suchi, we have sutra, we have pushp, and we are making pushpamala. Pushp is the basic entity, but the sutra is also inherently equally important constituent, and suchi, in terms of which things are stitched. So the mathematics Kshetra domain, this domain is the mathematized domain which stands mathematized. So it is mathematized domain. We want to enter that, and Kshetra as a simple rendering is a field. So that format is a field. It is a garden. From gardens to flowers is a big range of expression, and this expression is to be comprehended by buddhi, and buddhi is to be sachetana, conscious. So intelligence of consciousness feature will cognize this field, and it is with this cognition that we will reaching at that thread in terms of which the garland stands stitched. So there are basic need for having a comprehension of the Ganita Kshetra, and that requires intelligence, and intelligence also is to be sachetan, consciousness. So it is the consciousness which will make intelligence of cognizable potentialities of the Kshetra, in terms of which we will be reaching at the format along which these entities are subsisting. Therefore, the Ganita Kshetra is to be taken as a Buddhi Kshetra. How we can reach from Ganit to Buddhi, or in other words, Buddhi takes us to, intelligence takes us to mathematics, and mathematics takes us to intelligence. How this all is inherently inbuilt in the Ganit Kshetra, or in the Ganit, or Ganit Sutras, or Vedic Ganit. The Vedic Ganit is Ganita Sutra. So from Sutras we have to reach at Ganit, and it will be Vedic. Or from Ved we have to reach at Ganit, and this will be leading its expression as Sutra. The other way to look at is that there is a space, Akash. Within Akash there is Asti, Hai, existence. For the existence there is a Satta, a format, a foundation. And beyond the format also there is something, means because of which the Satta remains. It is Shesh, a balance. And that balance, Satta, Asti, Akash, or the names, Sangya. Now, Sangya has a Chaya. So it becomes Sanjay. It takes us to Shishyate says Sanjay. This sutra, Shishyate Shesh Sangya, is Upsutra. It is Upsutra 2. And it is the sum up of Bhagavad Mahapuran. Those of us who are anxious to first reach at the text as part of the Vedic scriptures, and then with faith and belief that it being part of the scriptures, so it is Vedic. And so everything as Vedic gets automatically available. So Shishyate Shesh Sangya is the part of the text of Bhagavad Mahapuran. This script is there. This script as such, this composition as such, is there in Bhagavad Mahapuran. So the question would arise for those who are still not parallel with the Vedic systems. How is it that this single sutra is capable of making us believe that the entire text of 16 sutras and 13 upsutras also becomes Vedic, or that those are of as natural, inherent potentialities and features as is Shishyate Shesh Sangya, or as is the setup of the sutras, the hymns, which can invite and avail the Vedic format. Now, for it we have to now proceed. Bhagavad Mahapuran is a is of the Vishnu Lord. incarnation of Vishnu. Vishnu is the overlord of a sixth space, and 6 is the first letter of Eka Adhikane. All that which stands covered for manifestation of sixth space means Lord Vishnu, the presiding deity of Sthapatya miring rod, which is accepting Lord Brahma as the Mayer. So Map of this Mapdand when we reach from Map to Mapdand, there is a jump, and this jump is over value 5, means Lord Shiv. So the gap of this jump from 6 to 4 over 5 is fulfilled, is bridged, is stitched by value 5 space, the overlord, transcendental lord, Lord Shiv. So this value 5, the first letter of Purvain, value 6, the first letter of Ekadhikane, is leading us a gap. How this gap is bridged? Then we know that first Upsutra, Anurupain, follow the form as it is framed, a symmetry. From the linear progression Ekadhikane Purvain, we are having a bridging sutra as Upsutra is Anarupain. Follow the form as it is framed. The form here is 6, form here is a 5. How to reach from 6 to 5 and to have a bridging of the gap itself as well? This is to be learnt. This is to be comprehended. This is to be imbibed. So for this bridging, for this imbibing, we have to see that we as human beings, within this human frame, are manifesting along a Shad Chakras format. There are 6 chakras, 6 eternal circuits of this body. The 6th is at the top and 5th is in the throat. So the Ganita Sutras, Ekadhikane Purvain, is a starting unfolding of itself by availing 6 and 5, Ekadhikane and a Purvain. So 5th circuit, the throat is a Purvain, is the previous state, and the 6th chakra is what is to be reached at. This reach from value 5 to 6 in one way is that there should be an availability of a value 4, and 4 as such here is in the role of a dimension, and here it is in the role of a boundary. The gap which is of value 4 is associated with the value 6, as 6 space as a domain and 4 space as a dimension. This very middle value is associated with the value 5 as the creative boundary of the transcendental domain. So a middle, which is a gap, so we are having this end and we have another end in which there is a big gap, and this gap is to be bridged from the middle, means from the middle we should have a flow on either side. This gives us that if we are having value 6 here and we are having value 5 here, value 4 at the middle, then we see it is 2 multiplied by 3, it is 2 plus 3, and here it is 2 multiplied by 2, simultaneously it is 2 plus 2. So the addition operation 2 plus 3 is available here as well, and then it transcends to multiplication. The multiplication operation here is also having available at the middle as well. So at the middle we are having both operations, addition and multiplication. On one side we are having addition, on another side we are having multiplication, but at the middle we are having both the operations. It is this feature, it is this cognition, it is this comprehension, it is this insight, and it is this enlightenment which will make the intelligence to be sachetan. And see the buddhi as TC value is 25 and sachetan is 26. Ganita is 18 and Kshetra is 19. Now these values of a reach from 18 to 19 and from 26 to 25 now have a cross value, and we'll see when we reach from 18 to 25 means here we are reaching from 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 means hypercube of 5, and here we are reaching at 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. So we are transcending from 4 folds for the base at value 7, and we know 7 is the origin of a 6 space. So origin of a 6 space and 5 space is a dimension of 7 space. These features are the features in terms of which the Vedic mathematical domain stands settled, or in other words, the existence domain stands mathematized. How the existence phenomenon of the human body within human body and existence phenomenon of our solar universe stand mathematized and simultaneously are unified and are made parallel as well. The existence phenomenon within human body as of the format of Shad Chakras is being taken here for mathematized domain or Ganit Kshetra of a end values of 6th chakra and the 5th chakra. So 6 space and a 5 space, and this 6 space and 5 space are being bridged, and this bridging is by intelligence, and that intelligence gets potentialized by the consciousness. Then the whole question would be, then when we say that Ganit is the domain which is presided by Ganesh, and it is here where we have to be conscious as that it is the Sachetan Buddhi, it is the conscious intelligence which is to process parallel with the mathematized domain. This mathematized domain as such becomes the full expression of the intelligence field. It means it is our intelligence which at the consciousness base is going parallel with that existence domain which is being mathematized by the Ganita Sutras. So Ganita Sutras are mathematizing the existence domain, and for it the processing step required is of the gap in between, the range in between of the fifth chakra and the sixth chakra, from the throat and the top of the tip. So you see, in between comes a mouth. So it becomes a single head. This single head becomes a single dimension, and creator, the 4 space, the 4 value in between 6 and 5 value, is having 4 such dimensions. Lord Brahma, creator the supreme, is bridging the gap between the transcendental domain and the self-referral domain. Lord Brahma is the creative bridge between the Vishnu Lok and the Shiv Lok. Lord Brahma is a 4-head Lord. We are having only 1 head. Therefore, our intelligence is to be sequentially put upon the consciousness format. It is this sequential placement for the intelligence upon the consciousness field which requires learning, which requires sanskar, which requires training, which as a result comes to be the dissolution of the mental states. Our mental state gets stagnized, our mental states block, the intelligence blocking because of the intelligence field or the points and pillars which deserves to be attended to by the conscious intelligence. Now it is this conscious intelligence bridging which will put us that instead of going from Akash to Sanjaya, let us reach back from Sanjaya. All that stands covered by the nouns, and what remains is a chaya. Now it is this shesh as a chaya, and it is Akash as an asti, which takes us to Satta. It is this format along which the ganas are lively. All those entities which avail same Satta at the middle for twofold flow becomes the basic mathematical processing step. The basic processing step of the Vedic systems is that we have always to be at the middle in the infinite field. At the middle is the point which never reaches the end point. So we can never start from the end point at an infinity. There is an infinity on either side, and we have to start at the middle. So whenever we will start at the middle, proceeding towards one end or the other end, at the most coverage from the middle to the either end would be the half of the whole. So our processing steps are of the potentialities which will never take us to the full domain. Our processing steps will at a time in one sequential progression cover only the half domain. It is this fact of the intelligence cognizance limitations for which we have to be conscious, and it is our this consciousness about our limitations, which will make us more intelligent. It will make us more realistic. So Vedic mathematics is the realistic mathematics. Vedic mathematics is the mathematics of the reality. Vedic mathematics mathematizes the existence domain in reality. Our reality and real spaces are leading us to the manifestations which permit transcendence at the middle. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well, and it is this feature in terms of which we shall be appreciating why we are moving from Ekadhikain to Purvain. We are moving from 6 to 5, and we are saying that we will cover the completely, because then we'll come to that 6 is the perfect number, where 1 plus 2 plus 3 will be 1 multiplied by 2 plus 3, and in between the bridging is of 4, which is 2 plus 2 and 2 cross 4, and the dimension of 4, 0, is also leading us to 0 plus 0 is equal to 0 multiplied by 0, and simultaneously minus 0 multiplied by minus 0 is also 0. These three features of addition, multiplication and orientation unifying are the features of the creator's space. So at the gap, it is not only at the dimension, but at the dimension of dimension level as well, that there is a unification for our both additive and multiplicative operations, and simultaneously it also is having a unification for the opposite orientations. This way we will start approaching mathematized realistic domain coverage of the Ganita sutras, and we will see how this sub-sutra is the focal sutra in terms of which we can have a full expression for the entire 29 sutras and upsutras, as 29 is the value of Brahma. Brahma is the overlord of 4 space, and 4 space is the bridging of 6 and 5. So the entire bridging is the creator's space bridging. Creator's space is presided by Lord Brahma. Therefore, we shall be conscious enough while we shall be approaching Ganita Sutras, as each sutra ultimately is to become the focal sutra. Ganita Sutra 1 is the source sutra. Ganita Upsutra 1 as well is the source Upsutra, and both together fix the focus at the middle. So at middle of any pair of consecutive sutras and consecutive upsutras, there is a focal, there is a focus, there is a fountain point from where transcendence takes place, and it covers the entire domain. Step by step, parallel to the organization of Ganita Sutras and Upsutras, we shall be visiting and revisiting the Ganit Kshetra, the mathematical domain of the Ganita Sutras. Thank you very much.